Well, DJ, we had a massive session today, 20 fighters up there. You got the set quiet the whole time. Was that disappointing, or was it fine for you to kind of just fly under the radar a little?
It was fun to fly on the radar. Obviously, you know, when I'm up there, I didn't fly out to Vegas just to sit there and be quiet. I could have done it at home. But at the same time, it's the second time I've done it with the last press conference. It's Showtime or whatever it was, when I was fighting Kyojo Iguchi. So, you know, it was up there, get to listen to Luke Rockhold and DC and those guys talk, and back for AK against East Coast. So it was a fun time. I enjoyed it.
We've been talking about this potential Cejudo matchup forever. Now that it's here, talk about it. I mean, what do you really think about him? Some people think he might be the biggest threat you face. Other people say he's not ready yet. What's your thought?
My thought, it doesn't matter what I think. I know I'm going to be ready for this fight. I mean, he's a great wrestler, and other than that, we're not wrestling. It's a mixed martial arts competition, and I'll be prepared.
How about fighting in the co-main event? I know you've gotten a lot of headlining. Is that okay with you, especially when it's such a high-level card as it's going to be?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, especially since it's right behind John Jones and Daniel Cormier. I mean, they're going to knock the roof off, and we're going to follow. You know, we're going to set it up, and they're going to knock it out of the park.
It's a good chance for you because, like you said, you're on the same card as Jones and Cormier. In the past, they've kind of asked you to main event, and they've kind of asked you. You don't like to talk any crap. You don't like to do any of that stuff. You have John and DC doing that stuff for you. You get to just fight, and you get some of the exposure from that as well. Is this a good spot for you? You think?
Yeah, it's a great spot. And I told someone today, I was like, okay, everybody who was talking crap today, it was true beef. Okay, Dominic, Uriah, they don't like each other. The animosity is real. So the trash talking is awesome. DC and Jones, they don't like each other. It's awesome. Chris Weidman and Luke Rockhold, they've been talking trash even prior to the first fight. And you know, you saw Chris Weidman goes, man, AKA, all y'all do is talk shit, you know? And so that's real animosity. So it's fun, it makes sense. But, you know, with, you know, Henry, we got up there, he goes, no excuses. No excuses. And I was like, I just like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm a type of fighter who's never made an excuse. You know, I fought with a broken rib, broken leg. This man's won before, and he said he had a fish taco, and that's why he had a horrible performance. So he's the only one who said something about a bad performance. So that's why I was just like, real. So yeah.
Do you seem to annoy each other a little bit when you're on stage and there's all that circus going on? I mean, you guys were, you know, you were doing the thumb thing, looking at him. Is there any pressure to kind of actually do the bad blood thing?
No. If it was like an act or whatever, and I'm not a movie star right now. Hopefully I will become a movie star. But if that was my job, was to put on, you know, great acts and do circus, then yeah, I would be a little more pressure. But there's no pressure. At the end of the day, my job is to fight and whoop ass, and that's what I plan on doing April 23rd. So that's why when I was up there, I wasn't annoyed. I just thought it was funny. I was like, he's like, no excuses, and I was like, you're the one. What I said, I was like, you're the one who made the excuse when you had a fish taco. I was like, it makes no sense. I was like, I've made all my weight. I've never missed weight once. I was like, I've cut 8.5 pounds when I was going to fight Joseph the second time. I was like, I've never made any excuses. So I don't know. Or in the mousetrap, I was just like, I'm over it, dude.
Yeah, you generally seem kind of just over it of hearing these guys always talk, always say they're going to be the one, and here you are with a belt.
I mean, even with, you know, the Dotson thing, he talked trash about me, and the man lost his phone the night of the weigh-ins, and everybody was like, do you guys know who this phone is? And I hit it, and I was like, oh, that's John Dotson's phone. And I was like, yeah, just go get back to John Dotson. And then if anybody else goes, oh, give me that phone, I'm going to take it. And then, I mean, after the fight, went out to John Dotson, and I was like, dude, hey, man, congrats to being a father. Even though you talk about me, I respect you as a man. And he goes, hey, man, John Dotson was like, hey, thanks for finding my phone, man. I appreciate it. I was like, no problem, man. I found it, you know, I figured it was going to be right as a genuine human being that I am. I'll give you your phone back. So a lot of people don't like that, but that's just the type of guy I am.
You said the fans are eating up all this trash talk and bad blood between guys. As a martial artist, do you find it entertaining? Do you enjoy watching?
If it's real, like if somebody is like, you know, if you two got in a fight, like, oh, my website's better than yours, blah, 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 we should fight each other to get the hype up on our websites, then I'm not going to enjoy it. But if one guy was like, F*** Hawani, he doesn't know anything, he thinks he's the best, then it's like, ooh, that's kind of nice. So
Cejudo's been chirping a little bit, not so much trash talk, but he's very confident. He's been saying stuff like, well, I'm his kryptonite. I'm the guy that can knock him off. I do everything, you know, a little better than he does. How do you respond to that? What do you think? Is there any validity to that?
No, at the end of the day, I just look about all the guys he's fought. You look at all the guys I fought, what I've accomplished in this sport. You know, not just in mixed martial arts. You know, I know he has his accolades in wrestling, and everybody has a resume coming into mixed martial arts. This is the easiest sport to get famous real quick in. You know what I mean? Like, nobody can walk on the NFL thing and be like, hey, yo, man, I got all this stuff. I was like, oh, okay, that's perfect. Let's see you do it, you know? All it takes is 4. I mean, the man has 10 fights in his total career. So, I mean, that just shows you how fast you can jump and get to the pinnacle of the sport real fast. I've been here for a long time, but at the end of the day, we'll see what happens.
Is this the last big test for you at flyweight before you move up? It looks like that bantamweight division is getting really crowded up there now. Perfect situation for you to jump straight into there. There's some ready-made big fights for you up there.
Yeah, big fights, but at the same time, you know, when Conor talks about, you know, I'm going to 170, 169, dude, the other day I woke up at weighing 137. That's 2 pounds. You go ask Dom when he walks around right now. He's like 160 probably. So me going to 135, that's like I go take a shit and wake up. I'm like, all right, I'm ready, come on. Jump on the scale. So it's a little bit different, you know. I'm truly fighting bigger man to whereas people are like, oh, this fight at 170, welterweight is like, you just have a dude who's fighting at 145, going not have to fight. He's fighting with a full belly, and you have Nate Diaz, who's fighting at 155 and 170. So that's when Conor McGregor fights a true welterweight like a Tyron Woodley or, you know, Stephen Thompson. That's a true welterweight fight, in my opinion. The fans are like, oh man, fighting at welterweight, blah blah blah. It's.
Is it a concern for you when you sort of look at the flyweight division? You pretty much cleared that division out.
They'll always find somebody for me to fight, whether I win or lose. They'll find somebody to fight, and I'll compete, and I'll make my money, and I'll pay my bills.
I was asking to make a prediction. If you were to match up like Cejudo and Benavidez, what do you see happening in that fight?
You know what?
That's a big one that people were talking about.
That's a big one, and the thing is it's so. The one thing that me and my coaches say, it's very hard to gauge how good somebody truly is until you put them against a Dotson, an Ian McCall, and me, and a Joseph Benavidez. Because I feel those names I just rally off, we're well-rounded. We can fight. I mean, we bring the fight. When we're losing, it's a competition. I felt when Henry Cejudo fought Formiga, I sat in the front row in that fight, and when each time Formiga came back to his corner, I saw defeat in his eyes already. I was like, I can tell he felt like this is a totally different level of athletic ability. And so right there, I was like, okay, so Formiga's done. You know, when I watched Formiga fight John Dodson, I saw how he just couldn't hang, and how when people fight John Dodson, they just couldn't hang. I'm like, I'm sitting there watching when we're getting ready for fighting. I'm like, Matt, it just pisses me off. I was like, these guys don't want none. They don't want to fight. Like, they literally don't want to fight. So when I watch Henry Cejudo win those fights, I'm like, he's not fighting guys that want to, like, you know, I'm not taking anything away from Chico Camus, Chris Curiaso, you know, Dustin Kimura and those guys, but when you fight me or Ian McCall or Dotson and those guys, it's a totally different ballgame because we're good.
When you say that that MMA is the easiest sport to get famous in, or the quickest sport that anyone can get famous in, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like the Kimbo Slices of the world where they're not even that good, but they come in and they're celebrities?
Yeah, and they're celebrities that make them. And at the end of the day, it's always about bringing in numbers, the viewership. That's what pays. That's what gets you the money. But it is one of the easiest sports to do it. I mean, you look at Conor McGregor. I can't even say you look at Conor McGregor because he's gone up. He's good. He's you know, he does his thing and makes people fall down. So that's, you can't take him, but you can take a guy like truly Henry Cejudo. There's guys out there who fought way tougher competition and have finishes and knockouts in their resume. But since he's a gold medalist in Olympic wrestling, he's undefeated. But for me, you look at the beginning of his career, the man couldn't even make weight. You know, that's how I found out about Henry Cejudo to begin with. They're like, oh, Henry Cejudo misses weight again. I'm like, who's this guy who keeps missing weight? And when the UFC signed him, I was like, great, you guys signed another guy who can't make 125. So I was like, you know, that's how I found out about him. But, you know, man's about to fight for a world title, and it's his 4th fight in the UFC. That's how the business runs.
Does that bother you about the sport, that it's like that?
That's what the sport's at. You know, I could say it does bother me, but at the same time, doesn't. I'm nobody. I can't change anything.
Do you think the mindset that you offered about being comfortable at 125 and saying, hey, I'm just going to keep fighting, getting wins over whoever they get, you think that'll ever change and will ever be a day you say, because it seems like some fighters say, oh, I got to go up. I got to prove something to the world or whatever.
Yeah, there was a point in time, and I even run up to Matt. I was like, Matt, I'm ready. I think I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to go fight at 135. I want people at the edge of their seats, you know, like, oh, shit, the champ's going to go fight at 135. But he goes, there's bigger things to do than that, DJ. Like, he goes, there's bigger things. Like, you go out there and you if you could beat Anderson Silva's record, I mean that's big, you know. And that's where my goal is, and that's where my heart is right now. I mean, if somebody goes, oh, you should go fight 135, my heart's not into it. I'm not interested right now. I mean, the money's right, then I would, but I'm just not interested. And somebody goes, oh, you're I'm like, sorry, my heart's just not into it. Sorry. So.
You must love. Just one more question. You must love these new potential weight cutting rules because you barely cut any weight to get to 125, and there are so many guys who come way down to meet you at 125.
Yeah, I like it, but at the same time, I cut a lot of weight. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like when I was weighing 137, I caught a little bug and I got sick. So I typically walk around 141, 142. But if I want, I get down to 138, you know, like that, and be healthy and feel strong and all that stuff. So.
Still less than a lot of people cut though to get to 125.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I remember Dotson, he walked around 160, 158. So it's I'm a small guy and I can handle myself.